Welcome to the Misfit Boyz podcast, where we are surprised that the groundhog has seen his shadow, which means the Blackhawks are going to hibernate for 6 more weeks. My name is Cheyenne Goglis, and I'm the moderator, moral compass, and sometimes referee of this show. I am joined today by...
Armando, a.k.a. gonna punch Shy in the face for the Blackhawk comment, a.k.a. number one stunner.
Guinness World Record holder for most Fromunda cheese eaten in 1 minute, Mikey B.
He does like the Fromunda cheese.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
Oh,
It's Super Bowl day, baby!
It's starting. Gentlemen, start your beverages.
That was real good, Mikey.
I couldn't wait. I had to open up.
Mikey needs like a little plastic bag around him.
I
need a sippy cup.
He needs, what is it? Yeah, those little spill-proof tops for the beer. Oh my goodness. Armando, would you like to let our listeners know what just happened like 2 minutes prior to this starting?
The reason why we're late is because Mike decided he's going to put the beer off to the corner of the table there, and I don't know what happened, but all I know is I heard a beer come off the thing, and you caught it, right?
I caught it.
You caught it.
I did.
Which was awesome.
He caught it. It was a moment of fleeting glory.
Yes.
And it was beautiful, right? Because it didn't get on any of the equipment. He was about to take the whole podcast.
Got on a little bit
down.
of equipment.
And then all of a sudden, it just started
Foaming like a
foaming
mofo.
up, coming out. Just
You know
like a volcano.
like in 4th grade where you do the volcano science project? That's what it was like. It just
It's like the
foamed,
Mentos
shot
in the
out.
Diet Coke.
Exactly. Just shot out of the can and got
everywhere.
all
like
over
The
our headset and the
Power
power
cord.
strip that we use for our mixing board.
I think the
So
best,
hopefully this records okay.
the best part of it though was Hunter's face. Classic.
Frozen terror and shock and awe mixed
Like-
all in one. It was...
I think he was excited because Mike caught it and it didn't
Yeah.
look like it
He
spilled.
was like, all right.
Well, like,
But then
yeah,
the
it was
volcano
like the
happened.
thrill of victory. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, yeah, you caught it, we're good. And then, no. Like, it just exploded out of the can.
It was incredible. I was on the other side of the table. I didn't see where the beer had spilled. And admittedly, I think it was just a little bit initially, but Becker had cat-like reflexes, caught the can. We were all surprised he caught it. And like Hunter was looking like, oh my God, did any beer spill? And all of a sudden, all the momentum he had stopped had foamed up in the beer can and it just erupted out of the can and started drenching the floor
cat-like
right
reflexes
next to the power strip.
Come from
It's like,
Becker's 7
just when you
Castiglions.
think, you're like, oh, I avoided catastrophe. And then Lucy just pulls the football out.
Yeah.
And just
Catastrophe said,
Takes
literally,
away that sense
hold
of
my
relief.
beer, watch this.
Hopefully the Eagles can, they can replicate my sticky hands tonight and catch a few balls.
Well, we don't have a hockey game for us to talk about tonight because it is Super Bowl Sunday, as Hunter had so definitely implied in his intro. Pats versus Eagles, and we're doing this right
very
before
subtle implication.
we're doing this right before the game, so we have no idea who's going to win this game, and I think all of us
We got a little bit of an idea.
Who you want to win.
I think
We all know who we want to win.
Hunter knows who he wants to win, but we all know who the NFL has picked to win. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a leak, I think a few days ago. They had the award ceremony on Saturday for like league MVP and all that. And there was some guy walking in on like Thursday and someone snapped a picture. And there was actually Tom Brady's acceptance speech for the MVP award,
Nice.
which was 2 days prior. And then he did wind up winning the award.
Yeah,
So
I mean, hey.
it just goes to show.
Listen.
He actually recorded his acceptance speech in August.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely.
He knew he was going to win. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's how it is.
It happens when you suck the big man's D.
But it is February 4th. A little fun fact for you guys today on February 4th. Gretzky gets his 44th NHL hat trick, first time with the Kings. Lemieux scores his 600th goal. Yager nets 500 and has his 1100th assist. There's a little fun fact.
What year was that?
Doesn't show the years. It said this happened on February 4th.
Oh,
yeah, I could
It's,
probably open
it's
up the
amazing
arguments.
that Yager scoring his 500th probably happened like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And he is just now out of the league.
Yeah.
as of this past week.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 days ago.
I'll
he
give
was
you the
over near.
years since.
Well, if we're going to be a hockey podcast, you can't just throw things out like that and say, oh, Gretzky
February
just scored his hat
4th,
trick. No.
1989.
How old is this podcast?
Okay, 1989. Wayne
It's
Gretzky
15
scores
episodes old.
44th NHL goal. Let's see. Lemieux scores his 600 goal in 1997 on February 4th. And Yager's came on February 4th, 2003, his 500th NHL goal and his 1100th assist, career assist. So there you go.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Oh,
I appreciate
you're very
it.
welcome.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, his
He's a
500th
beast.
goal So that's 14 years ago? 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's just now out. Like
Against the Tampa Bay Lightning,
he's
too,
talking to come
which
back.
is even better. It was against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
That was when we were horrible. It didn't matter, man. Everybody liked Yager. Just a solid player.
You know, one of the.
I mean, it's when you guys still are horrible. You just have Cooch and...
It's amazing to think what Yager could have done if he hadn't lost,
Glass
2
houses,
lockout
my
years.
friend. Glass houses.
That's
And
for the
then hadn't
commentator.
lost. He played like 3 years in the KHL too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he. I don't think he still would have touched Gretzky's numbers, but he'd be a lot closer. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you can just. I mean, like.
No, I mean, I don't think anybody's even close to Gretzky's assist.
Well, Yager has, I think, pretty much just the same amount of point as Gretzky has assists now. I think.
Let's see,
Yeah.
right, as of right now, his
Well,
NHL
Gretzky
career.
had assist. It could
Right.
be.
Yamir Yager's
But let's look that up.
Yamir Yager career games played 1,733, goals 766, assists 1,155,
So he's like just shy of Gretzky.
points 1,921.
Just shy of Gretzky and what?
Assists.
Gretzky's got over
assists.
1,600 assists.
Well, that's
dude.
what I'm saying.
Just shy
His
by like
point-
500.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what we caught?
His
Just
total,
drop in
his
the bucket.
points
Oh,
total.
it's points total. Yes. Okay. You were saying assists. That's why I was asking. Points total. Yeah.
Gretzky's assists.
Points total.
Yager's points total.
Points total. Okay, I got you. All right, I'm on top of it with you.
There we go. Come on now.
Did anybody
Get the
else
wax
hear
out of
assists
here.
come out of his mouth?
Well,
That's
that
what
was
I
the
heard.
point why we were finding out about how many points he had.
You know, I understand that, you've been gone for various reasons for the last couple weeks. You're trying to get your legs back, but coming out swinging like this is not going to garner you any sympathy from us.
Listen,
At all.
I'm hot right now because of your comment, and I'm hot because I watched the Blackhawks blow a 3-1 lead last night in the third.
Hence the comment.
God bless it. 3-1 in Ottawa.
Y'all are hibernating.
Unbelievable. And
It's about time
we
they
gotta
finally,
trade for
fall off their pinnacle. And
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry. Did you win? Did your team win?
did I
Or
say
did you
anything
lose?
about my team?
Okay,
I
I'm
didn't
just
say,
making sure. I'm just
I
making
didn't say
sure.
nothing.
Just making sure.
All I said was it's about time the Blackhawks fell off. Are you fucking listening?
No, he's in a hawk race, man.
There's key words that he's
Everything's
picking up
red.
on.
Everything's red.
God damn. Ranger, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, welcome
Shit.
back.
So what's everybody drinking tonight?
I'm drinking. I'm drinking half of a Yingling Light because the other half's on Jeff's floor.
The non-foamy part.
I'm drinking my, I love this beer, Sunset Orange. And I love that every time I come here, you have a fridge full of this stuff
I do.
ready for me to just consume.
I had to stock up for the Super Bowl.
I'm telling you, man.
Make sure, I had to make sure Mike didn't drink
Sunset
it
Orange
all.
and Philly
Out of spite.
cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Oh, I still
Where's
might.
these Philly cheesesteaks I heard
over there in the
about?
back.
Oh, man, we're going to have to. I'm gonna have to.
They smell delicious. Where'd you get them from?
Delco's.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite place. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to have one. I'm sorry. This is dope. I'm going to have to have one.
Definitely gonna snack on it. There's very few things in the world I can turn down, and a fresh Philly from a place that actually knows how to make Phillies.
Yeah.
I can't turn it down. The place I like to go to is Philly Flavor over Tampa side, Dale Mabry and Fletcher.
Too.
They
Philly cheesesteaks, Philadelphia Eagles.
yeah. So you got the correlation.
Wow.
This is quick. Bravo. No dust here. No dust on me.
Is that Jason Epstein?
You know, sometimes I think
Shit.
there's certain things that go on around here.
Mexican with a knife.
One day I'm gonna cut somebody
I'm gonna be a
over here.
stereotypical Mexican and take my knife out. I at least had the courtesy of leaving mine in the car.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Now it's getting serious.
Let's switch to the other weapon.
So he's drinking Shock Top, locked and loaded. What about you?
Gotta support the team. Throwback to episode 1 of the podcast. I got Yingling.
Yingling
Yingling
always,
heavy.
Always a good beverage. I decided, since it is a Super Sunday, the Kirin Ichiban, Kirin's Prime Brew from some Japanese country, I believe is distributed by Budweiser.
Classic Super Bowl beer.
What do you think,
That's
Super
what-
Bowl?
yeah, that's what
You
I
think
drink.
a Golden Dragon on the can, and of course we got the industrial size pint and 9 ounces
I like those
for no
things,
good reason
Kieran's.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I go eat sushi, that's what I get at Kieran.
It's good. It's good. I haven't had it
See,
in
I
a really, really long
I
time.
only drink it when I'm eating sushi, though.
I don't eat sushi, but I drink Kirin.
Yeah. No, you're right though. It is one of those beers. you really only have it in one specific instance.
Right, yeah.
Unless you're Cheyenne.
So
Unless you're
I
shy.
don't eat sushi.
He doesn't even eat
I-
sushi.
I like to broaden my palate with beers, not necessarily raw fish, rice, whatever the heck is all rolled up in
Cheyenne
there.
has the taste buds of a 6-year-old, but that's cool.
No, I just don't like sushi. It's just not my thing, man.
it's okay. We got your hot dogs cut up with ketchup
Yeah,
over
it's
in
okay.
the.
Oh, do you think?
With some mac and cheese.
Mixed with mac and
He-
cheese. There you go. Yeah.
See,
Mixed
he
with that
gets
mac and
me.
cheese.
He gets me.
We know.
We got to cater to our moral compass.
We got you.
Comp S. Some might say.
Come pass, yes. Oh gosh, Chase is not going to live that down. All right, so it is Super Bowl Sunday, and if any of the listeners have not been paying attention for the past 15 weeks, Hunter hails from the great city of brotherly love and is pulling very hard for his Eagles. And I have to say that probably most of the country is doing the same, not so much because they're Eagle fans, but because they hate the Patriots.
Exactly.
You know what, though? I think Hunter needs to be excited about this because it's really the only time he'll see a championship in his home state because it ain't going to be from the Flyers, so it might as well be from the Eagles. So I get why he's so damn excited about it, but it's cool.
All I gotta say is Carter Hart was once again the WHL Goalie of the Month for January. I think they're gonna rename the award after him. So watch out in like 2 or 3 years.
We already have a Hart Trophy, don't we?
They do in the NHL.
Well, let's see how he plays in the NHL.
Oh man, you wow.
We'll see.
just-
No, I'm feeling
it's
good.
brutal.
I feel confident. Eagles 31, Patriots 20. That's
31-20?
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
good. It's close. I think it will be. I think if we're going to go ahead and go with scores, I'm going to say it's going to be. No, I'm going to keep it in the 20s, 27-23.
I'm going to go
Eagles.
Eagles 77, Patriots nothing because I fucking hate them.
Well, wishing them
I hope they die.
because you hate them doesn't mean
I hope they don't even show up.
I'm not a Patriots fan either. Like, I don't want them to win, and I definitely don't want to hear half my friends cry, "Oh, Patriots!"
I can think of one in particular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One very big one.
Patriots win again. But I hate,
of all time.
I hate to say it, but I feel like the NFL's about their money, right? And if anybody's going to fix a game, it's going to be this game again. I mean, think about it. A couple years ago when they beat the Seahawks, they were running on them all game. So why would you throw the damn ball into the end zone when you're on the 1-yard line?
When you have Marshawn Lynch.
Right, when you have Lynch.
Yeah.
Well, it's the
you
same
have the
thing-
man to pound it in there. Why wouldn't you give it to him to pound it in?
It's the same thing last year when the Falcons were up 28-3, and then they just kept throwing it, and they didn't run the ball.
Right.
You know?
Change the game plan.
So I mean,
Yeah, but do you think that they changed the game plan, or was it okay?
Roger Goodell changed
Here
the
we
game
go.
plan.
Right.
That's what happened.
By the way, now it's time for you to lose.
Yeah, you start throwing a couple
We had the
picks.
excitement. Now we're going to make the Patriots come back. I mean, come on. The two Super Bowls in a row that they win and they squeak it out just by sheer.
I would
luck.
say the one, not that I'm any fan of the Patriots, but the one pushback on that would be that Patriots fans think that the NFL hates them because of the Deflategate thing.
No.
You know, where
That's a cover-up.
was
The
ridiculous.
rest of the NFL fans hate Patriots for various reasons. One of them being Deflategate.
We could go Spygate. We could go. There's a few.
Too many gates.
Too many gates.
Not enough fence.
Yeah.
Not enough fence. Too many gates.
I didn't like the Deflategate nickname. I preferred Balgazi.
That you could really take that a different direction. We're not going to, Jeff. Being the moral kumpas that I am.
God.
something like that.
So we got our predictions in. So last week we had the All-Star game in town. Great weather up until about Sunday-ish when it was pouring. But by then, pretty much all the fan festivities had been partook in by all of the fans, I believe, and it just left the All-Star game. So I was there on Friday with my family, and so was part of the Misfits team. We were in separate parts of the fan fest, and I got to say, aside from the absolutely abysmal concession foods that were triple priced, the entire fan fest was fantastic.
Oh, man.
The first
Without a
time
doubt.
I went to the fan fest for the previous All-Star game back in the 90s, you had to pay to get in, and you had to pay to do certain things or whatever. And then I also remember paying to get a picture with the Stanley Cup. This time, everything was absolutely free except for the concessions, which you totally get that. But Dunkin' Donuts had their tent set up. They had a Bubble Boy, two Bubble Boy hockeys set up. They had air hockey set up for handing out free coffee. NASA was there. They were handing out all sorts of free science swag, including astronaut ice cream. My kids got to taste astronaut ice cream, and they hated it. And I was like, "Thank you,
I'll take that.
this is ice cream from the future."
Did you have some Tang too?
Oh no, that was later. There was no Tang in that tent. But they had the astronaut ice cream. They had like the moon rover, like a full scale replica, so people could take pictures with it and stuff like that. And they're looking at these big boxes with switches and buttons. I mean, this was early 70s tech, man. And they're like, wow, they went to the moon with this. Like, yeah.
And made it back.
You can't even play games on it.
No, you can. You can maybe.
Where's the
hype
iPad?
Dude, it's just to see it up close. It's just kind of like.
I gotta say, I was slightly intoxicated when we were down there. I don't remember
Slightly.
any of this.
Slightly, Jeff. Slightly.
Wow. There was a minor bit of day drinking going on with the boys from the previous podcast. They went down and took an Uber. I had to drive my family, so I was responsible. Went down there, and I remember most everything of the Fan Fest. And they broke it up a little bit because the plaza, obviously in front of the Amalie Arena, is not big enough to handle all this stuff. But they took up the big parking lot that's in front of it, and then part of the park that's across the street right on the water, where the Stanley Cup was, and every single award was on display. So while my wife waited in line for about 20 minutes to queue up to get to the Stanley Cup, I took the kids around the entire tent to kind of keep them busy. But they're like, "Oh, what's this one for?" And I'm looking through my phone real quick for half of these, but other ones like Vezina and Hart, I could easily explain. And there are other people around me, and they're kind of like listening in because
They're asking, "Daddy, what's the lady binge?" Like, that's who watches the most Netflix series.
But it was great to be able to share that moment with the kids. And then like this picture with the Stanley Cup is almost 20 years, not to the day, but to the weekend, but from when I was first there to now. And it just kind of like, it just felt right, to have the kids there and my wife, everybody's wearing lightning stuff. And it's just, it was a wonderful moment. It was a wonderful moment for us to have as a family. And I think that they did it really nice, the Fan Fest stuff. So
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, all the games they had, the little shooting competitions.
Were you getting heckled by 7-year-olds?
I was, because I was heckling the shit out of them. You better believe it.
Mike was talking a lot of shit when we were going up there. There was like a Pee Wee travel team in front of us, and Mike was talking a lot of shit.
Yeah,
And they hung around after.
Oh, yeah,
after
they
were done.
did.
Mike
I
was
saw
up.
that.
They hung around to watch Mike get a total of 1 puck.
One puck through the big circle.
Yeah, I think the
was,
best one was Nasty, right?
Yeah,
Nasty won pretty
Nasty.
much every competition, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did.
And then Chase, I think, tied him in one of them with the four corners.
Chase did?
Chase. This is what we were all.
he wasn't on a
drunk.
breakaway,
Yeah.
so he scored.
Oh,
That's what it was. We were all drunk. The vision was a little off. So Chase
So it helped
being,
out? It
who
compensated
he
his
is. Yeah.
vision being. Well, maybe we
Exactly.
should let him have a few beers before the
We
game.
could do
So you
that.
told me he just hit the 4 corners. I'm like, Chase?
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Chase.
What?
He
He
hit
hit 2 or 4.
2.
You had 5 shots, is what it
He
was.
got 5
so he
shots
hit 2
to
out of
hit
5.
hit 4 corners. He got 2, and I think Nasty had 2.
Nasty got 2. I got 1.
One of them hit the same target twice.
Yeah, so he would have had 3 had it been a different target, but
And you did that on Facebook Live on your page, right?
we did Facebook Live. It's I believe it's on the Misfit Boyz Facebook page as well. You can go and check that out. It's actually a pretty
Do you want
popular
to see
video.
Mike
Yeah.
get
Pretty
roasted by some
amusing.
teams?
Yeah, it's great.
I saw them, those kids heckling
They were
him. I'm like,
laughing. They were having a good time. They were loving it. And then the guy thought I was the coach, so I just went with that. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
It was a
He's
good time.
screaming and cursing
Yeah.
yeah, his kids.
at the
Yeah.
teams.
That's what you do to the people.
You suck! Skate harder! Oh, great coaching, coach.
It was a good time. All around good time. I got my picture with Stanley Cup finally. Got to kiss it. Did not get to raise it over my head. I was a little pissed
Yeah,
off
security
about
stopped
that.
them.
They will tackle you
Yeah.
every time.
So
You know the guy who's in all the Stanley Cup commercials with the white gloves? He came out of nowhere and clotheslined
yeah,
Mike.
just clocked me right in the face.
Yeah.
That was his time to shine. It's like, the bat signal gets thrown up in the clouds. It's like, gotta go. So, Mike, you had all access to the entire All-Star
yeah.
weekend. So, the skills competition on Saturday, how was that?
Skills competition is probably my favorite part of the whole weekend, to be honest. I mean, you see these guys just coming out, having a blast like they're kids on a pond. I mean, no helmets, nothing. A couple of them actually had their kids with them. So
Yeah.
imagine being one of them. That would have been, that's the time of your life.
Even as a TV event,
Yeah.
and I watch both the events on TV.
I mean, they
Much
were
better.
all, just throwing pucks over, signing jerseys, signing, just everything. Really good weekend.
Did
I
you
wish
sign merch?
I didn't get anything because I was behind the netting. And when I tried to get up to the stairwell where they actually walk down to the locker rooms and all that, by the time I got there, players weren't coming back out. Sunday, I didn't even think about staying on Saturday.
You missed the Misfit game to get signed autographs, and you got
I got
one.
nothing. I got nothing.
No, he's got a brand new jersey.
I got
Did you
brand
not
new
see the
jersey,
brand new
yeah.
jersey?
We all know Bobby got the brand new jersey. Everybody saw the brand new jersey.
The brand
on
new
Facebook.
matching jersey.
No,
yeah,
it's
the
not
cute.
matching.
Not matching? No matching?
I got the Pacific Division. Pacific
Hey,
Division.
Chase, welcome to the show.
And she got the Atlantic.
Jack
She got
Blackberry
her.
makes an appearance.
She got her Hedman jersey. So that was good. And we're actually considering maybe making a trip out to San Jose next year and just going to the skills competition, not the game, and then just make a vacation out of it because it was just that good of a time. I mean,
I did
what a
feel
blast. It's better than going to a game.
I did feel like in the skills competition you could tell who had been at Gasparilla earlier in the day.
Yeah, there were
Like
a lot
Carlson,
of drunk
definitely at Gasparilla. I think Drew definitely at Gasparilla.
Dowdy was definitely a Gasparilla. He could not hit those targets for his life. And then when he wound up
just
for that
started
slap shot,
yeah.
oh my God, that was hilarious. It was.
Yeah,
It was an awesome time.
That skills competition was a little rough for some of these players.
I mean, they had a couple of new events, so maybe, you don't really have a technique going in because it's brand new, so you don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who went first? I think it might have been Kucherov went first in one of the events, and it seemed
Yeah.
like he
Oh,
kind
his-
of
his
didn't
speed
know.
skating.
His skating. He did.
No.
No,
The
he did
passing
the
relay.
He did the passing
Control.
relay. He
It took
kind
him
of
like
seemed like
2
he
minutes.
didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention during the demo because it seemed like he forgot he had to shoot a puck into the net at the
But
end.
he wasn't
had to
even
go
the
back
worst
and shoot
time. Drew Dowdy was the worst time. I don't even think he really finished because he didn't even put one of the
Yeah,
passes
he's
in. But,
defenseman.
In his defense, he didn't know he was there.
Well, the defenseman won the event. Pietrangelo won the event.
In defense, he doesn't even remember suiting up for that. It's
Somebody
a good
laced the
time.
skates for him.
Yeah. He's like, just
Probably
point
Burns'
me.
son.
If you asked Dowdy like what he did Saturday night, he's like, I don't know.
I mean, did you see there was a post on the Kings Instagram or Facebook or something looking for Drew Dowdy's sunglasses. He lost them Saturday night
Oh man.
around 7 p.m., which is when the skills competition
Now,
starts.
does he
so
think that somebody's really going to return his
they were
sunglasses?
like, there's some type of like Snapchat glasses or something like weird thing you can video. Like, I guess you link it to your Snapchat
They fell
and you
off,
press
they
the
fell off
button.
his head when he took that slapper.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So it was like a live feed from the glasses.
Right.
Which are
He
now
doesn't wanna
currently on
admit
eBay
that he was
for
getting hammered.
$49,000.
Nope. I ain't selling those, brother.
Yeah, my bet is he lost that Gasparilla.
It's possible.
You think? You think? And I'm telling you, they're on eBay right now.
Oh yeah.
If we look for them, they're on eBay.
I have to say, as one who was in Gasparilla, we had a grand time, and it didn't look like the crowd was much larger, but like we were talking about previous, the footprint, or I should say the imprint of the fan base of the NHL, they can only fit 20,000 in that arena versus Super Bowl, which brings another 100,000 people plus. People coming in out of town just to work, not even be going to the game and that kind of stuff. The NHL had a little bit smaller footprint. I couldn't really tell as far as like an impact as far as the crowd size, but I did see a lot more hockey jerseys out there. And toward the end of the parade, after we got past Tampa General on Bayshore Boulevard, I was holding up my Lightning beads and looking for people who were wearing Lightning gear, and I was only giving them beads. So I would run up in front of the float and I'd hold up the medallion and see who was wearing Lightning stuff, and I'd get a couple go Lightnings. But if you weren't wearing a Lightning shirt or something, you weren't getting beads from me, buddy. And it's nice to have that kind of power.
The almighty beads.
Right?
You don't want to know where they were before.
Listen, you don't have to even wear hockey gear. If you're showing me something that I want to see as a female, you're getting some beads.
I have to tell you, during the day parade, you don't see any of that. They honestly,
guard the
since
beer.
I first started doing the parades, that was more of a commonplace thing, and more toward nighttime. Daytime, you might see a little bit, but nighttime definitely. Here it is.
Well, then
17
who wants to
years
do
later.
the day parade?
I've been I've been doing parades for 17 years, and I have to say that I don't see anything anymore. They put such a tight control on that. They don't want to have any of that.
It's no fun.
There's
no reason for it. They should shut it down.
I have heard from other people that there is a flash here and there, but I don't see it.
I vote on shutting it down. I vote on shutting it down.
I honestly haven't, but I will say I'm happy to report that after years of a drought, I had got not one, not two, but 3 beers from people in the crowd. One of them was from the Budweiser hospitality tent. They were handing out
they have
cans
like
of
a
beverages.
T-shirt cannon and like they fired at your head.
No, I'm on the passenger side of the floats as we're going up Bayshore. I'm on the water side, and that's where they have all the hospitality tents and the bleachers and stuff. And somebody near the Budweiser hospitality tent had this brand new beverage. I can't remember. There's like a lime sparkling beverage or whatever. I was like, thank you. They were just handing it up over the fence. And I'm like, thank you, appreciate that. And I go down another couple blocks, and then somebody's holding out a beer out, maybe for beads or something like that. I didn't give him beads, but I took that beer.
See,
Ruined his
stingy. Stingy.
Yes, I'm very proud of it.
Oh, man.
Like I said, I vote close that sucker down.
But that was my Saturday, and I don't know if there was any players in the parade, but we had heard when we were in a parade route that the Stanley Cup was on the galleon, the Jose Gaspar, and was being floated in with the crew, and then was going to ride along the parade float, which I thought was absolutely hysterical and a great idea.
Yeah, and they did. They wound up bringing the Stanley Cup back. I don't know, probably hours before the competition.
The things that Cup has seen, if it only could talk.
Oof.
I mean,
I don't want to know.
Do you think it's
ago.
the real one, or do you think it's an exact replica
I think it's
of the
a replica.
real one?
I think it's
because I don't think that they would bring.
They
the
would
real
not
one
bring
out.
it. They would not.
Not because they don't want people touching it, but I think it would be in
wouldn't let it
fear
get
of somebody,
damaged.
getting damaged, or somebody just figuring out how to swipe something.
Now, when I was at the Stanley Cup photograph, they said that was the one that was the actual cup that they had on display for photographs. The one that was on Jose Gaspar, I guarantee you that was the stunt cup, because you have a bunch of rowdy pirates drunk. I mean, this is more than just a drunk hockey game, or a bunch of drunk hockey players who leave it on the side of the road after changing a tire and
quite
take
a
off.
few replicas of the cup. I mean, they've got one that's always the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and then they've got the one that they present to the players, and that goes around to all the players during the summer. And I think they've probably got 3 or 4 of them at least.
Yeah. Isn't it funny though when you see them getting the cup ready on the game where someone's gonna win, and they're like the white gloves and they're
shine that baby up.
And then you're thinking, in about 3 days somebody's drinking beer out of that, eating hot dogs out of that thing. Like they're polishing it up real nice, and somebody's gonna be doing.
Phil Kessel's gonna be eating hot dogs after that.
I think he would work his way up to chicken Alfredo for that. That's a big bowl. I hold a lot of chicken Alfredo.
That's a big boy. But he can play the game. You got to give it to him.
He can hustle. He can keep up. No hate on Phil, man.
Imagine if he was in shape.
Unlike oh, shit. You're right, Mike. You're right.
No, I'm going the other way. I think if he got in shape, he would be awful. Like, he would just be dog shit.
I agree.
Yeah.
He would know what to do with himself. He's so fast. He's overskating the puck. And
Phil Kessel 3 points behind Kucherov for the points lead.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
He's been
I
on
saw
tear.
that the other day, and how close he was, and I'm like, am I reading this right?
It's not just Phil Kessel on a tear. I mean, the Penguins themselves have been on a tear since January 1st. They believe they're 10-3.
Best team in the league since January
They're
1st.
only like a point or two behind Capitals.
They're climbing up fast. Yeah, they just crushed the Capitals a few days ago.
Penguins are at 61 points. They're in third place in the Metro, behind the Devils and then the Caps. But the difference between the Caps and the Pens is only 4 points right now.
Okay, 4 points. Yeah.
Penguins have played more games. Though.
And in that game, that's the one where didn't TJ do the cross check, and now they got him under.
He'll have a hearing for cross check on Chris Letang, I believe.
Yeah.
It's always a good game to watch those two. But
So
here come the Penguins again.
Yeah, Penguins are researching, and they didn't add anybody. They didn't lose anybody. What do you think's going on in Pittsburgh?
and
Did they recently clean the water?
They can't
what's going
add
on?
anybody. Well, Pittsburgh is having some sort of a water crisis.
Are they really?
Similar to Flint.
Seriously?
Maybe they got all the lead out. And
wow.
But
Steel City, didn't see that one coming.
Well, I mean,
no, they haven't. But that team's always been
reliant.
reliant on 4 guys, basically.
Yeah.
It's Letang, Kessel, Crosby, and Malkin. You know, and as those guys go, and those guys are usually pretty good. You kind of just need the random Connor Shearys of the world and the Jake Gensel's. You just kind of need them to pick up their game and sort of play along with those guys, and that's why they've been, they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah.
So is it the resurgence of the core that's leading the Pens, or what?
I think so. Their power play, their special
sure.
teams have been. I mean, they were the best on special teams on both penalty kill and power play in the month of January.
Yep.
I mean, they've got the best power play in the league. I mean, that's where you got Kessel and Crosby and Malkin out there. And they're earning their money. I mean,
and Murray in the
killing
pipes, that helps. They got some strong goaltending. I mean, Murray's doing well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Playing strong. It's always that core, right? I mean, Blackhawks have a good core. They've got no goaltending, so they're falling apart. It's devastating to watch. But you look at the Bruins; they're on a surge too. All of a sudden,
Well, and you kind of always knew that Pittsburgh was gonna bounce back because they just had extremely bad luck in the beginning.
A lot of injuries.
Well, I'm not really injuries, I don't think, but just bad luck. I mean, there's like nothing was going in for them.
2 straight cup runs, a lot of fatigue.
And you're going deep.
timers.
You're going deep into June every single year.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like nothing was bouncing their way. Nothing. All the bounces that teams get, good teams get to win games, they just weren't getting any of those. And it seems like it's finally coming back the other way, and they're those random shots are starting to go in, and now they look like they're going to be a threat again come May.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Let's hope not.
I don't know.
I don't think any of us are happy about that.
Nobody's happy, but it's the reality, right? I mean, they're on a tear. So
I got to acknowledge it. I mean, obviously they're doing something right to get the locker room back together, to get the team back on track, and
Cryotherapy.
Phil Kessel cryotherapy.
they're all eating hot dogs.
I got to say, this probably as a Lightning fan, you kind of probably enjoy seeing the Penguins come back, because otherwise you might have been facing them early in the playoffs in the first round if they kind of kept at
They
their
fell
current
into your
pace.
bracket.
well, the All-Star game was just last week. We still have a ton of hockey in front of us. A lot can happen between now and the end of the season. As far as the Penguins being hot all season, I'd rather see them struggling along and then maybe fall out in the first round of the playoffs. But nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the playoffs. If the Penguins fall off, guess who fills that? Vegas Knights, other teams. So there's going to be a lot of whoever falls off, somebody else is going to step up and take the reins. So personally,
Vegas Knights, as called on episode 1 of this podcast, only 1 point out for the President's Trophy.
you know what?
But
I wish them all luck in the world, and I hope that they get it. I hope they get it.
President's Trophy curse. We all.
I feel like we just need a big win for the podcast where we called something crazy early.
I will do it. I'll go on a limb. I always say right now the Vegas Knights get the President's Trophy. If for no other reason than the Lightning are going to throw the last 5 games and make sure they get the most points.
I think that's a given that they're going to win that one. I mean, they are, and
I hope
we
do.
said it.
I pray that they do. I pray that they do.
I have them in the cup now. I did not believe this team was going anywhere.
They might be in the cup. They're not going to win the cup.
Now,
Knights win the cup and they immediately contract
in the cup. In the cup.
They're going to win the cup. The President's Trophy.
They're not
cup.
winning the cup.
Wait, then they moved to Seattle.
I have a hard time. Like, I think about the Knights and I think of how well they're doing, but do they truly have what it takes to get in deep into the playoffs?
We're gonna
because
find
that's
out.
a different beast, right? I mean,
Absolutely, it's
all the teams
it's
are
a really
It's all
defensive
different
game when you get to the playoffs. But they have a couple guys that have won some Stanley Cups, so they have those
got
guys to
they have
speak
leadership.
from experience to their
Fleury's
to
been
the
there.
younger guys.
He knows what he's got to do.
They just.
I mean, look, but you
They
look at
are
some
babe
of
in the woods, man.
You look
They're-
at some of the teams, though. I mean, look at Predators.
well, yeah, it's going to be a tough
Damn, it is going
tough
to be.
road, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Or
I mean,
Winnipeg.
they've been breaking records all along, so why the hell not?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see what's gonna
They have been
come in
defying
store
odds.
toward
They have been defying the odds.
toward the end of the season when we get that last month stretch and people trying to get the last playoff spots. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, we're seeing a majority of the top 6 teams in each conference. You can pretty much bet that they're going to be in the playoffs unless something absolutely horrible happens. But it's those last 4 spots, 2 on each side, that everybody's going to be jockeying for, and that's going to really shape up the playoff race because that 8th seed comes in, knocks out number 1 seed. All bets are off. This is a whole new ball game, and that's why the playoffs are the second season because Doesn't matter what you did during the regular season. What matters is you're winning this series right here.
Right.
The guy's right in front of you.
That's right.
Sure.
How do you guys feel about March being in the NHL playoff All-Star game?
I'm fine with it.
March on.
Yeah. He was. I mean, I thought it was entertaining. Like he was really eating it up, mugging for the crowd.
Loved it.
Like he loves to be hated. He loves it.
He's a heel and he knows it. In wrestling terms, he's a heel.
And
I can't either, but like he was entertaining, and that's something the All-Star game drastically needs is more of an entertainment factor. Yeah. And like the fans booed the hell out of him, and he ate it up. He wanted it. He was a wrestling heel. Like he's
bathing in it.
he loved it.
I pretty much lost my voice booing his ass.
Well, like when he got tripped, I think Johnny Gaudreau tripped him in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And like he completely ate it up and like was pretending like he was injured. And like it was fantastic.
It was great.
Like, I don't like him. You know, you hate him when he's playing against your team. But my God, the guy is genuinely entertaining.
I just hate watching him in the NHL.
He should have been playing soccer.
For some reason, to me, like when I watch him play, I just get infuriated. Like I can't stand him. I think he's the.
Well, it's been an amazing turnaround for him because when he first came in the league, he was a pest. You know, he was like a Sean Avery type.
Yeah.
And now he's a skill
leading
player.
scorer,
You know, he scores a ton of goals. You know, it's just sort of amazing the turnaround that he's
Still just
had.
a dirty son of a bitch when he plays.
Yeah, he can't get rid of that. You know, it's still down there.
Well, he deserved to be suspended. 5 games. For
Yeah,
that.
but I almost feel like he deserved to be suspended from the All-Star game because it's like, hey, yeah, we're suspending you, but we're still going to reward you and let you go to the All-Star game.
I'll be honest. I feel like suspending him would have been more of a reward. Like he's like, okay, I'm going to go on vacation. Right. And now I'm suspended for 5 games. I'm going to go to Bora Bora or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Let him go. Contracted a disease and die. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, the guy. I mean, based on his play, as much as you
God
hate
forbid,
him, the guy deserved to be an All-Star. Like he's played well enough to be an All-Star.
Yeah.
So.
But this year, I don't know. If there was a way to exclude Boston Bruins from any further NHL activity, I'd be okay with it. No tears would be shed from my eyes.
Well then.
Jeez.
This is just there's a lot of Boston hate going on right now.
I'm not a Bruins fan, so I'm okay.
Not a good day for New England.
I hear the city is lovely, and when you're in Boston, the people are very friendly. But when it comes to their sports, forget it.
Oh, you can't fuck with those people in
Forget
sports.
Forget it.
But the city is beautiful. I have traveled there many of times on business, and I can tell you that it's one of the most beautiful cities that I've traveled to. I love
and historic too.
Like late spring, gorgeous.
Yeah, gorgeous weather, just so much to see and very historical stuff, and I love it. But you cannot mess with those people in their sports. They will straight. It is bad. It's about as bad as going into Philadelphia and talking some shit. You can't mess with Philly people either in them sports.
Just listen to any Vikings fan for the past 2 weeks. Those people will not stop bitching. It's unbelievable.
Well, there's a difference. Those are crybabies. Those are crybabies.
Jeez, they were throwing batteries and stuff at us. So it was horrible.
Well, you don't know what happened.
They were that bad. Like they were
in double A's.
They got yelled at and made fun of, and they're acting like it was their own personal Holocaust. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Listen.
Well, gosh, I saw
an Eagles fan throw a beer bottle at a Patriots fan.
I mean, hey, listen,
right in his head, nailed him in the head.
It is what it is. I mean, if you're going to go in there, I mean, you're going to expect that, right? They say that Philadelphia is one of the worst ones to go.
I don't know where it was, but I think it was.
I think Minnesota should not be crying. They barely made it out of the last round of playoffs. I mean, that catch with that guy missing the hit, which I'm sure he's still trying to kill himself because he's all over the internet for the Saints. They got by on I mean, would that happen again? Probably not. So they got by. So why are they crying about it? At least they got
because they wanted to have a Super Bowl in their hometown.
Never gonna happen.
I guess their Minnesota nice sensibilities were just so offended by going to Philly and getting their ass beat.
Yeah.
In their defense, most people are offended when they go to Philly and get their ass beat.
This is true. But even if they made it out of
to get over it.
Even if they made it out of Philly.
You don't know, like 2 weeks later, we still got people being like, I went to Philadelphia to watch the game and they dropped an anvil on my head. It's like, Okay, yeah.
Don't go to Philly. We have anvils. It's a thing.
Listen, I'm not sure why you're surprised.
And they painted a tunnel on the wall, and I ran right into it.
What the hell is going on?
What a classless city.
Sir, I'm surprised you're surprised because it's all over the internet that you do not go into Philly against them. I'm not a Flyers or an Eagles fan, but I can guarantee you if I have to be up in Philly, I've got each jersey and I will wear the shit out of Go Flyers, Go Eagles! I am not talking shit in that city about anything. You people are crazy in Philadelphia.
You're not wrong.
No,
They say Chicago people are crazy and shooting, but you people have some issues when it comes to sports.
You know, I just watched Age of Ultron with my kids today. It's like my second or third time, but they're first. And there was a quote toward the end of the movie where Captain America's trying to round up the troops, and he says to the rest of the Avengers, like, they hit you hard, you hit them harder. They kill you, you walk it off. That's Philadelphia. That cat's from Brooklyn. He gets it. You get killed, you walk it off.
Hey, what's his name was from Philly? Mark Wahlberg played him in the movie.
Vince Papali?
There you go. So you know how crazy you people
Mark
are.
Wahlberg, apparently, big Boston guy, noted Boston guy,
Yes.
Mark Wahlberg, apparently said he was like totally fine with the Eagles winning. Even though he's supposedly a big Patriots fan, he's like, it's fine. Yeah.
Because the
got
damn
enough.
Patriots have won so many.
Yeah. Well, this is
when you
also
show up there,
Wahlberg who
really-
left, I think, after halftime last Super Bowl. When he
Yeah.
thought the Patriots were
Yeah, he was pissed.
going to get their ass kicked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you show up for the Super Bowl every other year as scheduled by Roger Goodell, then you know.
And it's been every year since. I mean, listen.
Enough
Jeff,
Patriots.
I really want your Eagles to win, and I'm going to be rooting for them.
You think the fix?
But I bet you the fix is on. And
after seeing how chummy the Patriots were with the referees during the Jacksonville game,
35-32.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you might not. Be
my
wrong
prediction
about
is 35-32 Patriots.
35-32. I was thinking what 27, 24, 23, whatever I said.
77-0 Eagles. No, it's gonna be a blowout.
Mike, have another beer.
I like your optimism, Mike. Oh my goodness. So let me start by saying this. I was watching the Lightning Canucks game last night, and I did make this remark in a text group because I'd noticed it was in the first period. There was at least 2, maybe 3 shots from the Canucks where they were in a neutral zone and they just flipped the puck up and tried to shoot it on net, trying to catch Vasilevsky off guard. And he's having to sit there and feel it like a fly ball. I was like, okay, once, maybe I'll let it go. You know, okay, maybe you're trying to do a line change or something else. Twice? This seems like a regularly scheduled program or something. Third time, this is part of the game plan. This is definitely a tactic. So, not being one who sees a lot of games outside of the occasional Lightning and able to watch, is the skyhook an actual thing? Is this become a tactic among the NHL, or is this just amongst certain teams that are trying to maybe catch a goaltender unaware on a line change or something like that?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a tactic. I think maybe if you see a goalie who has a propensity to give up like long goals, then maybe you might try it. But Vasilevsky really isn't that goalie. You know, like Vasilevsky is usually pretty on top of things and doesn't let in soft goals like that. So, I mean, maybe like Pecorine or somebody like that. Like maybe you're trying to catch a goalie getting out of his net to puck handle, or maybe like Mike Smith, somebody like that. Somebody comes out of their net a lot. But that's not really Vasilevsky's game. So it's interesting that you say that they were trying it against him there. But I think it's probably like an alternative to dump and chase, you know, probably just try and catch a goalie unawares, just try to get the puck in deep.
Attention.
So, or maybe they're just doing it if they're trying to get a change and they know they're kind of surrendering possession, but rather than just sort of dumping it in to the boards, you try to flick it in on the goalie and you take a weird bounce and it goes in, which we've certainly seen a lot of that over the years.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I would say that's probably it. It's probably something you see more on when you're changing lines instead of like a tactic of dumping it in, because when you're dumping it in, you don't want to just surrender possession back to the goalie. So I assume it's like a line change type deal. They're getting coached up to say, if you need to change lines, and then just flick it up in the air and try to get a bouncing puck in there, and maybe you get a goal out of it, you know? Yeah. And I think that's probably what it is, more than a tactic to try and score a goal. It's maybe just one of those little tiny things you do when you're, maybe trying to give yourself a 0.0001 greater percentage chance at scoring a goal.
Well, we all know bad bounces, goalie looks up, gets blinded.
Yeah.
You know what's going on with the lights.
We saw right before the All-Star game, Pecorine gave up a center ice goal where it was just a soft goal. You saw it happen to Steve Mason a couple years ago in the playoffs where the Capitals scored from like the blue line, from their own blue line.
Yeah.
So just like weird stuff happens. So always put pucks on net.
That's right.
That's right. Get those shots on. Keep peppering them. You never know what's going to happen, even if it's a garbage goal.
That's why I never get comfortable back there in the crease. I'm constantly out. I'm watching. I'm talking. I'm constantly scanning because if I'm not playing for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, you can go into goalie la la land, and sometimes you don't come back. And
I'll say a quick story here. The worst long goal I've ever seen. It wasn't even a shot. It was an icing attempt. From all the way over there, they were looking for a change, and they just like rattled it down. And it came out. It was coming real slow to the goalie, and the goalie went out with the stick out in front of him like this to kind of catch it, and he just completely whiffed. No, he didn't even deflect. Completely whiffed on the puck, and it just had to stick out too far, and it went right under the heel and went right into the goal.
Oh man!
I've seen a deflection where they're like trying to get it off the boards, and it deflects right off the stick into the net.
It's been kind of like that. Where it takes a weird bounce, and they're behind the net, and then it just goes straight in. You saw somebody had like a crazy save, I think last year, where they dove back at the last second to deflect
Ryan Miller.
Away. Ryan Miller had like a crazy save to deflect it out of the way. So you see stuff like that sometimes.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of crazy bounces. If you get a dead spot on the boards and you're not icing it around the corners, you're just shooting it to the left or to the right of the net, and it bounces back kind of at a diagonal.
We had
toward
something
the front
like
of the
that
net.
in our game, our last game last week, where it kind of just caught a board at a weird angle and like came out.
Yeah.
So weird stuff happens like that.
So you don't think it's going to be a growing tactic among the NHL? Maybe they were just trying to catch on.
I think maybe for
change,
line
yeah.
changes.
I
I think
it's a
if you
tactic
know
for
like
line
everybody's
changes,
changing and you don't really have a dedicated forecheck out there, so instead of maybe trying to like loft it into a corner and keep it in the corner and make the defenseman go back and chase it, because what's the point if you're not going to have a guy on him? Then you go ahead and throw it. You throw it in net in like a weird way because like goalies. They're going to catch most of the time any slap shot. You think maybe you've got a better chance of just bouncing it in.
I think instead of doing those long stretch passes up the middle or something like that, if you have a speed guy on your team like Michael Grabner or Carl Hagelin or something like that, then you'll see a lot of the skyhook attempts where they can just beat the defense and go in on a breakaway. And other than that, you're not going to see much of it other than probably a dump and change situation.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, that's a whole different dimension. Normally the puck is on the ice for 90% of the time, and other times it's flying in the air, or they'll flick it over, or bounce, or whatever. But the air, it's really hard to judge. So if you're going to flick it like that, do a skyhook to maybe try to do a different kind of dump and chase. How is a lineman, unless they're right on the line and looking up at the puck up in the air, how are they going to tell if that's on or offside? It's easy to tell when the puck is on the ice and you have a skate and you're doing a replay. There's no replay shooting up in the air. So you can get a lot of sly stuff if you go airborne.
Especially with how murky the offsides rule is right now.
Yeah.
Whether or not your skate's on the ice or off the ice and stuff like that. Quick digression here. This is a old Flyers story from their very first season in the league in the 1967 playoffs. I believe it was against the Blues. They lost a playoff game and a chance to go to the finals because in the old Spectrum, they had windows going directly outside. Mm-hmm. So there was sunlight coming into the arena. And apparently they did that skyhook thing where they popped it up in the air and the sun was shining through and got in the goalie's eyes. And he couldn't see it, and the puck just dropped right into the net. Oh. And every game after that they played in the Spectrum when they had a day game, they had curtains installed to block out that window.
Nobody thought about that before that moment.
No, that was their first season in the league. It had never been a problem. And then when it was a problem, and I think Ed Snyder, the owner, had curtains installed, so that never happened again.
Wow.
So one old vintage thing popped up on my Facebook thing, and I was watching it, and it was at the Edmonton Oilers. And I don't want to say it was too vintage, but it was at least I think in the early 2000s, maybe latter part of the 90s. I forgot who they were playing, but the guy comes around, and Oilers are down by a goal. They got the win. Oilers pulled their goalie out of the net, trying to get it. And I want to say it was the Dallas Stars, but the guy comes in and had an open net goal, and he's skating with the puck, and then you can see he's like, I got this, right?
Yeah,
So he's going to come
yeah.
off the side, and he loses his edge and just falls with the puck. The Oilers grab it, snatch it, go down, and score a goal. And I'm like, you have to, and the announcer had me laughing so hard because he goes, that's a goddamn disgrace. You are the worst player at that point. Like, the announcer was just going on like, who does that? Like, just berating this guy. Because the net was wide open, he skates right in front of the net instead of just putting it in or putting it in from a shot when you know you could take it. He wants to be slick with that.
Douchebag.
And exactly, a douchebag. And then he loses his edge when he tries to do a little funny maneuver, and boom.
Instant karma.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's when karma goes bad.
That concludes our show today. I would like to thank tonight's sponsors, the Philadelphia Eagles, Dr. Sean Hansen, chiropractor to the stars at Tarpon Total Healthcare, and Kieran Ichiban. For more information on us, visit our Facebook page, Misfit Boyz Hockey with a Z. Thank you for listening, and fly Eagles fly.